The first time I held my sister's baby, she was already gone. I still remember that hospital room like it happened yesterday. The sharp smell of antiseptic, the pale yellow walls, the tiny newborn crying in a plastic, the Senate while nurses whispered outside the door, and me, standing there frozen. Where's my sister? I asked. Nobody answered me directly. One nurse finally sighed and looked away. She checked herself out this morning. Checked herself out. Like she was leaving a hotel. Not a baby. Not a life. I stared at the tiny little girl wrapped in a pink blanket, her face red from crying. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped my purse. My younger sister, Vanessa, had hidden her pregnancy for months. She wore oversized hoodies, avoided family dinners, and disappeared whenever anyone asked questions. But Vanessa had always been selfish in small ways, not cruel. At least, that's what I believed back then. Until she vanished. And somehow, by the end of that same day, my parents decided the baby was now my responsibility. You're the stable one, my mother said coldly while sitting in the hospital waiting room. You have a job. You live alone. You can handle this. I actually laughed from shock. Handle this, I whispered. Mom, I'm 27. I work 2 jobs. I can barely sleep as it is. My father wouldn't even look at me. She's your niece, he muttered. No, she wasn't my responsibility. But the moment I said that, my mother's face changed completely. You would let an innocent baby suffer? She asked loudly, making strangers turn around and stare at me. That's what they always did. Turned me into the villain whenever Vanessa destroyed something. When she crashed Dad's car at 16, I was the one blamed for not watching her. When she stole money from my grandmother, Mom cried to me about helping family. When she disappeared for days with random boyfriends, they begged me to understand her free spirit. My entire life had been spent cleaning up my sister's disasters. But this wasn't a broken vase or unpaid debt. This was a child. I looked down at the sleeping baby again. Tiny fingers. Tiny nose. Completely innocent. And somehow, completely alone. That was the moment my heart betrayed me. Because even while I was angry, even while I wanted to scream and walk away, I couldn't leave her there. So I took her home temporarily. That's what my parents promised. Just for a few weeks, Mom said. A few weeks until Vanessa comes back. But what I didn't know that day was that Vanessa had no intention of ever returning. And my parents, they already knew it. I just didn't realize yet that the biggest betrayal wasn't my sister abandoning her baby. It was my family choosing her over me. Again. The first few weeks nearly destroyed me. The baby cried constantly through the night. I barely slept. I showed up late to work with dark circles under my eyes and baby formula stains on my clothes. My apartment, once peaceful and quiet, suddenly became bottles, diapers, and exhaustion. I named her Lily because nobody else cared enough to. Not even my parents. They visited sometimes, but only long enough to take pictures for social media. My mother would hold Lily, smile for Facebook, then hand her back to me before the diaper needed changing. Being a mother suits you, she'd say. Every single time, it felt like chains tightening around my chest. Because I never chose this. Vanessa still hadn't called. Months passed. Then one night, I finally snapped. I was sitting on my kitchen floor at 2 in the morning while Lily cried in my arms. I hadn't eaten all day. My landlord was raising rent. My boss warned me that one more late arrival could cost me my job. And suddenly I started crying too. Not soft tears. The kind that come from years of being invisible. I called my mother that night. You need to help me, I begged. There was silence on the line before she answered. You're overreacting. That sentence broke something inside me. Overreacting. I was raising someone else's child while my own life collapsed piece by piece. Then came the truth that shattered everything. A week later, I found Vanessa online. Not struggling, not homeless, not missing. She was in Miami, posting beach photos, laughing beside some older man on a yacht whale. I sat at home feeding her baby every 3 hours. My hands trembled so hard I almost dropped my phone. But the worst part, my parents had been commenting on her photos for weeks. Heart emojis. You look beautiful. Miss you, sweetheart. They knew exactly where she was. They lied to me. I drove straight to my parents' house that night with Lily in the back seat. The moment my mother opened the door, I held up my phone. You knew. Her expression changed instantly. It's complicated. No, I shouted. No, you don't get to say that anymore. My father stepped in, trying to calm me down. Vanessa was overwhelmed. And what about me? I screamed. For the first time in my life, I stopped protecting their feelings. I told them everything. How exhausted I was. How abandoned I felt. How unfair it was that Vanessa always escaped consequences while I carried the weight of everyone's mistakes. My mother started crying immediately, but not for me. For family, she whispered dramatically. We all sacrifice for family. I stared at her in disbelief. That was when I finally understood something painful. They didn't see me as a daughter. They saw me as the backup plan, the responsible one, the fixer, the person expected to suffer quietly while Vanessa lived freely. And something inside me changed forever that night. I stopped begging for love. I stopped hoping they would suddenly choose me. Instead, I started planning my escape. Quietly, carefully, I documented everything. The hospital abandonment, the messages, the proof that Vanessa willingly disappeared, the proof my parents manipulated me into becoming full-time caretaker. Then I contacted a lawyer, because if they thought I would carry their secrets forth. 3 months later, Vanessa suddenly returned home because the man had left her. Hey sis, Lily was asleep in my arms. No. What's your problem? My problem. The sleepless nights, the panic attacks, the career I almost lost, the fact that her daughter called me mama before she could even say basic words. But what Vanessa didn't know, I handed her legal papers. Confusion spread across her face as she read them. Then panic. What is this? Custody documents, I answered calmly. See, during those months, my lawyer helped me file for legal guardianship. I had records proving abandonment, financial neglect, and complete absence. Vanessa thought she could disappear and return whenever convenient. The court disagreed. My parents exploded when they found out. My mother called me heartless. My father accused me of tearing the family apart. But this time, I didn't break. I finally told them the truth they spent years avoiding. The family was already broken. I said quietly, you just kept asking me to hold the pieces together. That silence afterward felt heavier than screaming. The court hearing happened 2 months later. Vanessa cried in front of the judge, claimed she was emotionally overwhelmed, claimed I stole her child. But facts are louder than fake tears. The judge looked directly at her and asked one simple question. Why did you leave your newborn without arranging care? Vanessa had no answer. And in the end, I received permanent guardianship of Lily. The moment we walked out of that courthouse, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace, not revenge, not victory. Peace, because real revenge isn't always screaming or destroying someone back. Sometimes, it's refusing to let broken people destroy you anymore. My parents still barely speak to me now. Vanessa tells relatives I turned everyone against her. But the truth, they created their own consequences. And Lily, she's 5 years old now. Smart, kind, obsessed with painting cartoons on my walls. Every night before bed, she wraps her tiny arms around my neck and whispers, "Love you, Mama." And every single time, my heart heals a little more because the child my sister abandoned became the greatest gift life ever gave me. Sometimes the people who betray you think they're ruining your life, but they don't realize they might actually be leading you toward the family you were always meant to have.